My name is Morgan, and
my name is Noel. And I'm Josh.
We only have one mic, so we've been talking about answering each other. So I'm a co-founder, Josh is a co-founder, and Noel has been with us pretty much since the beginning. He's development of all kinds. He pretty much should just be a co-founder, but anyway. We've been around since about 2010-ish. We are located here in San Antonio, Texas. And yeah, pretty much we just prepare people for the zombie apocalypse, but in reality, to prepare for the zombie apocalypse, you prepare for anything else, which means disaster and emergency situations. In San Antonio, we're pretty lucky in the fact that kind of in this like black hole area, in which we don't get any of the nasty storms that happen anywhere else here in Texas or anywhere else. So, but we do get bad, floods, and we can get bad thunderstorms and things like that. We can knock out our power and such like that. So, it's important to be prepared for whatever may happen tomorrow, because who knows, we may get some freak snowstorm that knocks out all our power and keeps us in our homes for days. Who knows? Full warm and all that. So you can see here that we have like our bug out bags and things. I'll let Noel talk a little about that.
Starting with kind of the fundamentals of getting ready for any sort of disaster, whether that's power outage or the zombie apocalypse, having gear ready that's prepped and ready to go is fundamental. So the bug out bag has a variety of names: 72-hour kit, 3-day kit. All of these are a description of the same thing, that you need basic supplies to be prepared. And you would like to say, hey, I just need a bunch of guns and swords, and that's going to get me ready. But the reality is, you're probably going to need to eat. In Texas, you're probably going to need to drink, probably a lot. And then having shelter and other sort of fundamental things that can keep you comfortable and keep you capable while you're either staying in your house or bugging out to wherever you need to go. So this being something we highly recommend for everybody. This is something that FEMA talks about, the CDC, of having 3-day supplies. So I've put together things that work for me. So every individual needs to get something that works for them. Food, water, shelter being the fundamentals. I'm a tool guy. I like to get out, and whenever I'm camping and whatnot, have things for me to be able to, whether it's cut wood or whatever I'm working on. So I have a lot of tools. I have batteries, flashlight. For some reason it gets dark half the day, and I like to be able to see at night. And if I hear some sort of creepy thing moving around, I'd kind of like to know what that is. Fire making, this is used for cooking or comfort or whatever. Other supplies are really just kind of filling in to keep myself as comfortable as possible. So whenever you're getting your 3-day kit together, you need to look at just a variety of what's going to make you most comfortable. Ideally, you're using it if there's power outage in your house where you just need supplies for a couple days. If it gets really bad and you're going to have to go, it's kind of taking a lot of your comfort items, your basic necessities with you. So this is kind of the fundamentals for just getting prepared.
So thinking about general survival, though, a lot of people think that whenever something bad happens, they need to exit their home immediately. Well, this isn't always necessarily the case. In fact, the best place to be is in your home, because you're comfortable there. You know where everything is there. Hopefully you've prepared there, so you have extra supplies and things that may not fit all in a bug-out bag, or that is just more convenient for you because you know you're home. So we always suggest that people stay in their home unless there's a wildfire or a flood coming at you that you need to leave your home for whatever reason. There's no reason to leave. So yeah, just the best thing to do would be to stay in your home for a while.
Yeah, just like I've been saying, and especially the stay in the home one is a really big one. When you see a disaster happening or there's some sort of emergency, a lot of times you go to the grocery store and you start to see that everything's already gone, everything's already sold out. You can't get stuff. So it might have taken you an hour to get there through traffic. Traffic's been terrible. You need to start to think ahead a little bit. At your house, try to keep, at least a week of food so you don't have to go out if something were to happen.
Non-perishable food.
Right, because you got to figure your refrigerator is always going to stop running. You're never going to be able to keep anything cold. So just plan on having your pantry full with stuff that's going to last. But yeah, and a good way to keep it.
So when you're thinking about general survival, it's water, fire, shelter, food. If you're staying at home, you already have the shelter part set up. But if you're planning on bugging out with a bug out bag or wherever in your car or whatever, finding other means of shelter, such as a poncho or whatever, is going to be good, especially from the elements, whatever those elements may be. It's very, very, very hot in Texas. I don't know if you've noticed. So keeping away from those elements and keeping yourself safe, it's going to be invaluable in just your overall personal well-being. It comes right down to it. Survival is, protecting yourself from whatever, and it's thinking about all of these things that can attack you, will attack you, including the sun, that kind of stuff. So you want to be sustaining yourself as best as possible. Also, I want to mention, if you ever have a question, you feel free to raise your hand at any time. We want to encourage questions, so anytime we'll answer questions. So,
part of getting that transition from preparedness, that the CDC and FEMA, and they start with 3 fundamentals of get a kit, make a plan, and stay informed. And these sort of things get you into keeping yourself, not only having gear, but being able to figure out what you're going to do. Okay, here's a threshold of me staying in my house. If it gets really bad, then I got to leave my house. Where do I go? And then also staying informed that you're on the road, you're leaving somewhere, and all this goes back into keeping yourself to making good, sound decisions and making these decisions as soon as possible. The psychology of you having something bad happening to you, if you haven't thought about it, you're making irrational decisions. If the zombies are coming, then you have never thought of this before. It makes you a victim of the scenario. So whether it is, okay, I've got to evacuate my house, I have my bag, Austin is not affected like we are. Well, I can drive to Austin. Well, but once you leave your house, if it's really that bad, getting into okay, I need to probably stay off the road, I probably need to keep moving, I need to pay attention to how much fuel's in my car. These sort of things are going into your planning that you need to be aware of as you're bugging out.
Yeah, planning is a huge part of it, and no matter what you're planning for, keeping the basics, the fire, water, shelter, food, etc., and using and finding tools that can go in your bug out bag that can help you find those things, and also first aid as well, things to ways to find water, purify water, a map, a compass, those kinds of things, because if you don't have your phone or whatever, the lines are knocked out or whatever, you need to be able to find your way around in some way. But it's not just about having the map or having the compass or having that way to purify water or whatever. It's knowing how to actually use those items. So whatever you have, whatever you do, you need to know that it's going to work. So whatever tools that you put in your bug out bag or whatever plans that you make, you better make sure that it's going to work for you, because just looking at a map and be like, oh, that looks like a good escape plan, looks awesome on a map, but it may not be practical in real life. So you just got to go test it out. And testing it out now is going to save your life in the long run.
What's y'all's opinion about the debate on whether or not to bring, let's say, a family pet, a dog? I mean, that you hear that about, like,
So the question is, what's our opinion on bringing pets with you, like your family pets, stuff like that? Specifically, our opinion, I know my opinion, Morgan's opinion, both may differ a little bit, but honestly, that's up to you. The best thing you can do, like Morgan was saying, is practice with your bug out bag, practice with your gear, know what your gear can do and what you can do. That being said, if you have an animal and you are prepared to take that animal, that's up to you. Are you willing to take him through whatever harsh environment you need to and take care of him and protect him? And that all boils down to you and yourself. Is that something that you want to do? Do you love your animal enough that you're going to do that? I know we've got our dogs, and we absolutely love them. And yes, we're going to do as much as we can to take care of them and protect them, but at some point also you have to make sure that your safety isn't being compromised as well. So it's really a decision that you have to make yourself. We can't just say, hey, you should do that.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of the dark side of surviving. You know, it's yourself first, it's self-preservation, or your family. You know, you got to protect your family. We always think that our animals are our family, and they are. But in the end, you have to understand what is more, what's going to keep you safe in the long run. So it's just really hard to say.
Why is 3 days the magic number? Do you think it's expected to be better in 3 days?
Yeah, that's the theory. Usually it takes around 3 days for things to subside. I mean, if you look at any disaster scenario, winter storms, anything like that, it's usually around the 3-day period. And of course, planning a little bit ahead for, is recommended, maybe a couple days. Like I said, if you're staying at home, you may be able to plan for a week or a month or whatever.
3 days specifically isn't where everything's going to be resolved and okay. 3 days is usually a good idea time, a good time frame for all people that are going to rush out to go out, get hurt, and get out of the way. So if you're taking those 3 days to sort of get your bearings, get your plan ready, you can kind of expect that most of the craziness will start to boil away after 3 days and give you sort of a little out if you do have to evacuate.
Another thing is that most of the grocery stores only keep about, for the people that utilize them, about 3 days worth of food in there. So also the idea is that if everybody's rushing and then they've emptied out all the food, it's going to take, those are 3 days of food that you're keeping on hand, but also it's 3 days that you're letting the stock be it's allowing the grocery stores about 3 days to restock for the people that are utilizing it.
No.
How important do you think fitness is for longevity?
It's important, but at the same time, you gotta think like, how often? You're gonna be walking a lot, you're gonna be running a lot, but at the same time, it's not just about, walking and running on your own. You have to practice with your gear. So fitness is important, but it's more the fitness of, you need to practice with what you're going to be using with your bug out bag or with your track vest or whatever you're going to be carrying with you. However many, weapons you want to have on you or whatever. You have to train with that gear. So just fitness is fine, but keep in mind that the fitness of the overall survival is important too. You have to know how heavy this bag is going to be, how long you can actually last with it. Because if you go on the last for like 5 minutes or so, that's a bad sign. If you put it on immediately and you're feeling weak in the knees, also a bad sign. So fitness is important, but it's a whole thing. It's your capabilities. What can you handle? Like, these two bags are completely different from each other. My bag is different than theirs because I'm smaller than them, obviously, and I cannot carry as much as them. So kind of going into that, when you're building your bug out bag or anything else, your track vest, whatever, it's always important to kind of change it around a lot.
When you're building your bag, you want to try different things out. Don't just assume, okay, I need something for fire, I need something to purify water. I'm going to stick these 2 items in here, and that's it. Those are it. That's what I'm going to use. Practice with what you have. Start to build your supplies up. Just say go with your house or what have you. Build your supplies up and cycle through them. Don't just put it away for that rainy day. Yeah, put it away for the rainy day, but then start to use it and rebuild it. Always keep your bag ready to go, but cycle through it all so that you, 1, know how it works, and 2, you have the best items that you possibly could. Because you're going to find out that, oh, well, I got that water purifier, I kind of don't like that. It's not doing exactly what I want it to. So try something else. Find the item that works for you, or make sure the bag is is set for you so that it's got everything that you know how it works, you know it works, you're comfortable with it, and it really makes it personalized and you get the best use out of it.
And so recommendations and such are really good from friends. You know, if you have other preppers and things like that, recommendations are awesome. But you want to take it with a grain of salt, because something that works for one person is not going to work for another. You know, we have some ENTs on our team, and they're going to have a lot more first aid items than like someone who doesn't know how to use half that stuff would have. So it's just, you know, you have to know, understand your knowledge, and understand, am I really going to be able to use that? Can I learn to use it? Stuff like that. So,
how many people would you say would want an actual team, or how would that be?
I mean, it's really based on the team. Like, we don't personally recommend like huge teams. It can get out of control really quickly. We suggest a nice small team, maybe 10 or less. We don't suggest lone wolf either. It's really, really important to have a team, because each of those people are going to have skills that you don't have. You know, you all are going to have different roles to play. So in the overall scheme of survival, being in a team, you know, of 10 or less, of people that you're very intimate with and and that you train with, is going to be better than having 20 or more people. Yeah, and you have the same plan. So, you know, it's better than having, you know, 20 or more people that are, you know, kind of scattered, and you know, it's hard to get 20 people together to talk about plans and stuff. I don't know, that's a lot of people. So just think about that when things like your teams. There's no like hard, you know, number, like you have to have 6 people or, you know, something like that. But just be aware of the people in your group and who you really want on it, you know, to have your back and stuff like that. The question was whether we like the fast or slow, or our primary focus. No, I mean,
Our primary focus is more on just zombies in general. We don't know if they're going to be fast or slow, so we kind of haven't been ready for either. It's a debate. I bet this side of the room will say one thing, and that side of the room will say another. So be ready for both.
like with the new World War Z movie, those are crazy zombies, and that would be terrible if those were the type of zombies that we would came across. But you know, you have to handle it. If that were it, it's about being able to handle it. So.
What type of footwear would you all recommend? Tennis shoes, boots, combat boots?
Something comfortable, something durable, something preferably that might be slightly waterproof. You need to keep your feet dry, keep your feet comfortable, warm.
I mean, yeah, it's all personal preference. A lot of these things, you know, like, people ask us all the time, like, what sort of vest do you recommend, that kind of stuff, and it's so hard to say, like, you know, this is our #1 recommended whatever, because everybody's so different. It's going to fit everybody differently, and they all have different preferences. So, while we love to tell you, you know, combat boots are the best, they may not be best for everyone. So it's kind of just dependent on you and your personal preference. What really fits for you? What works? What doesn't, you know, give you blisters after, you know, 30 minutes of walking? You know.
If we were forced to give a recommendation, I would tell you to find something that's high, that goes over the ankle for the support, and then just something comfortable and something waterproof. Then take those criteria, go out to the store, find something that you like personally, and then try them out. Put them on and go out to some trails. There's some awesome hiking trails around here, just around San Antonio and the outskirts in general, and just get out there and start hiking with them. If you can walk all day long and they still feel good, then awesome. Those are your boots.
Do you have any questions? No? Okay. Yes.
Are you having difficulty getting ammo for storing it up, or?
Well, yeah, ammo is still very difficult to find. Yeah, it's very up and down. I mean, we luckily have a pretty good supply, but it's really difficult to train without much ammo available. So yeah, it is up and down. You can still find some ammo, especially online. It's easier to find ammo than it is in the stores. But like 9mm and 22 long rifle are really difficult to find these days. But just gotta be in the right place at the right time these days.
This goes back to stockpiling things while they're still available. This would be a great example that in one of those scenarios before events where you're pushing anytime, whether it's a winter storm, where you go into the grocery store, I need these last couple of things in the winter storm, so there's nothing available. Ammo is just like what we're seeing now, whether in those winter storms, it may be water, it may be salt, it may be whatever it is. So having food and supplies that you've stockpiled beforehand, whatever you think that you would normally need in these sort of situations, are important to stockpile while it's still cheap. So good question on the ammo, because it's hard to find when everybody wants it. So whatever it is, if you use it on a normal basis, whether it's gasoline or whatever, have some on hand when you need it.
And don't get us wrong, we're not saying to go out and buy, $2,000 worth of that water or salt or whatever and put shelves and shelves of it in your garage. We're by no means those like Florida prepper guys that you see on TV. But, just enough to get you through, a couple weeks or whatever, that's great.
So, one more thing on that, and then we'll get to questions. And we're not, just like Josh was saying, we're not saying like go out and spend millions of dollars to be prepared, saying, oh my gosh, I'm unprepared, I gotta go spend, all this money to be prepared. Just a little bit at a time, but think about the necessities first of water, fire, shelter, food. Just think about those necessities, and then everything else will kind of fall into place. And again, you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on this stuff. We get a lot of our stuff at the dollar store, so it's not like, this stuff has to be really expensive to be perfect. I think this little first aid kit came from the dollar store. It's still good stuff inside, so it's not, necessary to spend so much money. Two questions.
How many changes of clothes is recommended for a person to take if you need to bug out, get on the road, and so forth?
So the question was, how many changes of clothes do you need? And it just depends.
I think it's more important if having certain things, changes that would affect your well-being. Dry socks, back in Vietnam, they found that having soldiers that had dry socks were much more combat effective. So things like that would affect your actual health. Is it just a stinkiness issue? Well, you can take it off and clean it whenever you get a chance, but having things like dry socks, extra pairs of socks, maybe long sleeves in case it gets really cold at night where you're used to the hot summer days. Maybe one or two things. Not if you want to have a full supply of 3 or 4 changes of clothes, then you have to lug that with you. So if you feel like that's a concern, absolutely do it. But for me, whenever I prioritized through the gear that I've taken, clothes was fairly low, but socks was fairly high. So not necessarily needing a change of clothes for every day. You want to use balance why are you changing your clothes? Is it because you're stinky, or is it because you actually are so uncomfortable that you're not able to function? Is it if you're just cold and freezing, that extra pair of long sleeves or jacket would actually significantly help you.
I have a scenario question for y'all. It's more of a sense of, let's say you just there's a zombie, and then you kind of get supplies, and you see a loved one as a zombie. Would you hesitate to take them out, or would you just? Is there a hesitation in this?
Never hesitate.
Go on, dramatic.
I'm sorry, but walk away.
I think also avoiding the contact and avoiding the danger is probably the better scenario.
Yeah, avoiding danger is always bad. But you see the movies and the TV shows and stuff, they're like, I can't die, maybe a killer. Well, maybe there will be in 20 years. What are you going to do with a zombie? In the meantime? It's of course going to be difficult, but again, let's look at surviving in general. What if somebody gets a really bad infection? That's one. If there's no hospitals and you don't have the right supplies, what's going to happen? So Yeah, you have to think about these scenarios, and that's part of the whole mindset of survival. It's rough, but and thinking about the bad things will prepare you to be able to handle them when they actually happen. So, any other questions? Yes.
What movie or show influenced you the most?
I'm sorry, one more time?
What movie or show influenced you the most? What song influenced you?
What zombie movie or TV show influenced us the most? Kind of a mix. Like, we're obviously big zombie fans, and it's kind of a mix of all of them. They all bring something new to the table, I think. They all have different ideas, and they all have different ways of seeing the apocalypse. So we learn from them whether not to do something or whether to do something. You can learn something from everything. So, I don't know, it's a really harder question to answer.
Zombieland.
Josh, you have a favorite?
I don't particularly have a favorite, no. I would have to agree with Morgan. Every zombie movie or show that comes out, they all have their little variations. Zombies in general is the fun part for me. It's also fun to look at all the differences between the different shows and the different zombies and the different ones. And it's also a good debating point amongst ourselves, which zombie is going to do what, and which one's going to be the actual one that's going to come after us.
28 days later.
Yeah, 28 days later was good.
Was there another question? A little bit, yes?
I like zombie stuff. I like zombie video games. I like zombie stuff.
Good. The more stuff you watch, and if you're actually learning from that stuff, like the more books you read and things like that, we encourage you to watch things and read things and learn from these things. Don't just take it at face value. Think about it. Well, would that be good for me or that situation, that kind of stuff?
Don't end up like some of those people you see on some of these movies and TV shows where they come in and they're like, oh my God, what is that? And it's obviously a zombie. I'm going to go see if I can save them. So, you're going to get it out there.
Is there another question? Any other questions so far?
Please, one question.
Yes.
Could you all, to a certain extent, itemize what you all are doing right now, you all exist, or, this is what it's like, here's an eye, and this is technically.
Sure.
It would take too long, but.
I'm the gear junkie, I suppose. Things that I like gloves, radios. I use a lot of the anticipation of the cell network going down and not being able to use them. These are actually the high power designed for longer communication, but it's still compatible with the simple walkie-talkies they use. I like pouches on pouches because I never know what I'm going to scavenge and pick up. These are convenient pouches to stick stuff in. They actually usually have granola bars in them. I do use a lot of knives. Whenever I do a lot of hog hunting and other sort of hunting, these are sort of things that have multiple uses other than just killing zombies. I have 2 or 3 different sets of knives in my gear. I have patches and that sort of stuff, and so it kind of keeps me more capable. I usually keep bottled water with me. I also have large pouches of bottled water and cans of water and things that once you're carrying with all of the gear, especially if I'm hog hunting, I'm sometimes carrying 60, 70, 80 pounds of junk. And that's heavy, and everybody likes body armor like this, but it also makes you sweat a lot, and you want some more and more water, and you're having to carry that. So I'm thinking of other gear that I have that I don't include with me. Hats, sunglasses, yes, gloves is a necessity. I usually have 2 or 3 different types. These are more comfortable gloves. I have leather gloves as well. So, kind of gear junkie stuff. But does that answer your question?
Sometimes it's good to have a backup to your backup, if you can have it, but it's also thinking about things like alternative sources to things that we use every day, like a flashlight. This is actually a solar-powered flashlight, and it does have batteries in it, but I think the batteries have actually gone dead, and so I only use the solar, and I've only been using the solar for a long time now. And the nice thing about this flashlight is that it charges with just light. Like right now, it's charging just with a little bit of light. It charges with whatever kind of light. So it's stuff like that. It's really good to consider. Little purifying straws like this is really good to consider because chances are you're not going to have a whole lot of water. You're going to have to find water at some point. So having something that can purify it simply, easily, quickly will be very effective for you. There's so many different types of all of these things. So as I was saying before, just read reviews, talk to people, understand what might work for you, what doesn't work for you. Like this light straw is like $20. It's not that much, but it can be used about 200 times through just the filtration system in here before it goes bad. So it's just things to think about like that. Types of food to carry would be non-perishable foods, clearly. So, but like Noel here has MREs. Now, the thing about MREs is the military uses them for a purpose. They're working very hard. Sometimes they're, stuck in a hole for a long period of time. Like what do they have? Well, MREs, if you eat too much of them, will, how do I put this nicely? Yeah, you're going to have stomach issues. You're going to get bigger than you are now, and so because they have so many calories and such in them. So MREs are good for emergency, good for using a couple times, but not as a main food source. There's so many different ways of food: rabbits, squirrels, rats, insects. So there's always different methods of food. They're not pleasant or pretty, but there are different methods. Yes.
In Zombieland, the big thing was Twinkies. Now you can't buy Twinkies. What cat Twinkies is that year?
I like red wines. I'm going to go insane when I can't have them.
I'm a big fan of Spam, so the low sodium Spam is significantly better than the high sodium Spam. They also have bacon Spam, so I'm a fan of all of those.
What if your house is an option for shelter? What would you suggest like a good place for house place besides your home? Like a clear home home. I have a car,
The question was, what alternative location if your home is, you have to move out, what place would you go? My number one pet peeve of places do not go in any sort of emergency situation is a place like Walmart. Please do not go there. I hate to say it, but if that's your first option for survival, you deserve to be a victim of it. But relatives are generally the best place. People that are able to welcome you, and that you've already talked to them that if something gets bad, that I might need to show up. That's probably your best option. A lot of places like the FEMA shelters and that sort of stuff, if you have some sort of natural disaster, there's countless examples of how bad care that they're just not designed to handle you like a hotel. They're handling you in really the minimum standards that they can. So really relatives or friends and that sort of stuff is really your best option.
Just to add a little bit to that, depending on